Alright, hello everyone, welcome to my channel Mr. Adia Bet Predict. So in today's video, I'll be revealing to you a particular betting strategy from my VIP betting strategy. Actually, for my VIP group, I use just 4 betting strategies. And one thing about this strategy is that they have really been helping me with consistent winning. So the number one betting strategy that you guys are not really aware of is the handicap betting strategy. Actually, this particular betting strategy, I suspended it for the VIP group because of the international break that is currently on. And this particular betting strategy can only work in some situations and also in some leagues. So I always try to avoid using it in international games or cup games, maybe probably FA Cups and all those other league cups like that. So another betting strategy that I use currently that is working on our VIP group is the basketball betting strategy, which is the basketball over points. And this particular betting strategy has always been working out so well for me. But the only problem about this particular betting strategy is just that the bookmakers may not provide the market available for the after doing all the evaluation needed on each of the start of the games, the bookmakers may delete the lowest line that meets your analysis. But before we move on in today's video, I want you guys to make sure that you are ready to watch this particular video, because if you have been betting for a very long time, or if you have a good experience when it comes to sports betting, you will understand that good things are not easy to acquire when it comes to sport betting. So these particular strategies can take a lot of your time, and I will explain it in detail in this particular video. So after the handicap betting strategy, the basketball betting strategy, there's also a particular betting strategy that I use that you guys are really aware of, which is the cricket betting strategy. Actually, all these particular betting strategy, they have some leagues and like country leagues that they are that you can actually go for, and there are some leagues that you need to always avoid. I'm going to explain some in this particular video, and just make sure that you don't skip any part of this video so that you will not miss any tips. So when it comes to cricket, I always make use of a save options, which is the over 2.5 or over 3.5 points in cricket. I'm sure many people are not really aware or familiar with this particular game, ice hockey rather, sorry, ice hockey. The third strategy for the VIP group is ice hockey. So many people are not really familiar with these particular sport games compared to that of football and basketball. But this particular sport games is also very good when it comes to predicting the over point and the under point. But I always like to go for the over point, because I will always advise people that are also staking on over points over games that they should not stake on limiting points in any games. So when it comes to ice hockey, there are two ways in which I play my games. The first one is either I play safe, and that is I always drop in our VIP group mostly, the safe part of the prediction. The other prediction that you guys already know is predicting it as over 5.5 total points. So one advantage of this particular over 5.5 total point of ice hockey is just that it can easily give you big odds, because with just one game you can easily get your sure two odd. But one risk about it is that we all know that no strategy is always 100% accurate, but there are some situations whereby games can end up as under 5.5, but most times you can easily get your results as over 5.5 in ice hockey games. So the last VIP betting strategy that I also use, but I suspended it for a while because of the international game, is the over goals betting strategy, which is the over 0.5 goals betting strategy. So this particular betting strategy, I always combine it with other sport games in a situation whereby we don't have enough games to play on in a day. So this particular over 0.5 goals, there are some factors that you need to consider in the start, because you also need to consider the behavioral factors when it comes to doing your analysis of games. So that's what we always do to predict the over 0. Actually, this particular betting strategy does not give you big odds unlike the ice hockey games or the basketball odds, but it will also give you the accuracy just like the handicap betting strategy that you guys are seeing on the screen. So right now into this video, I'm only going to teach you guys just one strategy out of these four VIP betting strategy. So what I just want you guys to do is to make sure that you watch this video from the beginning to the end, and make sure that you don't make any mistakes, because I won't be able to answer any questions in my WhatsApp DM. And if you have any question regarding this particular betting strategy, you can drop it in the comment section. These particular strategies are the VIP group betting strategy. They are strategies that I only teach in our VIP tutorial masterclass group. But in this video, we will delve into the detailed analysis of one of these particular VIP betting strategies, which is the basketball over points. And also in addition, I will be adding up the first quarter basketball over point to in today's video analysis. But before I proceed, I want to inform you guys once again that if you know that you won't be able to watch this particular video very well, and probably I would just advise you guys to keep it till you will have full time to observe it and pay attention to details. One problem about this particular betting strategy is just that people that cannot wait, that are not patient enough to get accurate games. For example, after acquiring the knowledge and how to make use of this particular betting strategy, and in some situation whereby maybe after doing rigorous analysis and you did not find games that meet your evaluation on time, and out of frustration and tiredness you could just pick any games, and at the end of the day the game will lose, and you'll be like, and I knew that this thing may not. Okay, but just in a way to avoid it, just make sure that you are disciplined when using a particular betting strategy. When you realize that you don't find a game that meets the analysis, just skip games for that day. And that's what we always do in our VIP group sometimes. For example, in today's game, in order to play safe, after doing rigorous analysis and evaluation across all sports, I discovered that we only got two safest options on the sport games, and unfortunately it is not even up to 1.5 odds. So if you happens to be in this particular situation, just make sure that you avoid the game of that day. Don't play bet every day. It is not a must you play a bet in a day. If you don't find a game that work out for your analysis, just make sure that you avoid it. For example, in this particular day, we try to evaluate some games that we can get, and unfortunately we only get two games, and I just have to skip the game for today. So now moving on to our analysis on basketball over and under point, and let's start now. So now starting the analysis, first I would like to advise you guys on leagues to play your bet on for basketball games, and even the bookmakers will be blocking some low line odds for some leagues. So these leagues that I will mention are the leagues that you can always go for when it comes to predicting your basketball games. So I have one here which is the Argentina League. They are very good when it comes to, you know, consistency, because one of the problem about basketball games is having consistency in them. There are some games that surely what you'll be expecting from them is to play over 150, over 160, and unfortunately at the end of the match that you predicted as over 150 or over 160, you are going to be getting over 120 and over 130. It happens very well in basketball games. So Argentina leagues, this particular league, they are very good when it comes to consistency in basketball. After applying this particular betting strategy, surely you are going to be getting your accurate results about these particular games. So another league that you guys can also go for is the Turkish league. Actually, to some extent, this particular league, they also provide accuracy when it comes to, getting the actual point that you are expecting if you use the right betting strategy on them. But to some extent, not every time. There are some situations that they play ridiculous games, but at least to some extent they are predictable. So another league that you can also go for is the Australia League. So the reason why I like this particular Australia leagues is just that when it comes to basketball, you should always be expecting a very high point from it. At least you'll be getting, this is the league that I always get. If I predict over 160, I'm always, my mind is always at rest that okay, surely I should be expecting something like that from this particular league after using this strategy. But other leagues that you need to watch out for, and also if you want to play them, just expect that anything that happens in it, it is just how the game is. So one of it is the France League. Sometimes they play big point games, sometimes they play small point games. So sometimes they are unpredictable. So another league is the Brazilian League. Sometimes those ones they play very low points very well, and but if you apply the strategy to it, you will be safe. The only problem there is just that the bookmakers will not provide a very low line odds in their games. Another one is Italy, Spain, and USA. USA is in the sense that if you notice very well, they play differently. Like uh, based on season, they can play preseason match. They can play um summer game. So let me show you something. One thing about USA League is that they too they play big points. They play big points very well. But the only problem there is just that sometimes if you don't know the kind of league that they are currently the kind of uh, games that they are currently playing, you can lose your bet using any strategy. For example, this particular game that they played here is the preseason match. They have the normal NBA match, and that's when we start after this particular preseason that they are currently playing. So another one that they play is the summer league. In that summer league, I think the time that they always give them to play games is very small, and that's when you always have them playing 80, 90, 80, 70 points. For example, this particular game that ended up as 83, 93, if you look at it very well, this is the summer league. So these are the things that you need to focus on and pay attention to, and rather I will just advise you guys to stay away from it until the normal NBA game starts. So now I'll be doing a back testing strategy on some leagues that I mentioned that you guys can actually go for. So for example, for the Argentina league, so we have them playing different okay, we have outcomes here, and the one that happens to be the smallest among them or happens to be this particular match that ended up at 72-75. So one thing about this particular league is just that when you use the right strategy, surely you should be expecting the accurate result from it. So now let us start with any of the games here. So I will be predicting over points, and in order to prove to you guys that this particular betting strategy is really working out so well, if not 100%, at least to some extent, for me to be confidently to be using it on our VIP group, you should know that it has a very high accuracy. So this particular strategy alone is what I'll be explaining to you guys. Sorry, the other three strategies are what we are teaching in our masterclass tutorial group on Telegram. In case you want to join us, you can check the group link. Sorry, you can check the social media handle, my social media handle, in the video description and also in the comment sections. So now let us move on. We'll be picking the smallest game that the match that had the smallest point, so that we can prove if this particular strategy is really working out so well. All right, now, so this particular match actually ended up at 72-75. In total, it is just 147 points in this particular game. Now let us apply this particular strategy on the start, and let's see if our prediction will be right. And also, in every analysis that I do, in case I want to predict it as over points or over goals, I always subtract certain figures from it. So if you have been watching most of my basketball betting strategy in the past, you will notice that whenever I predicted whenever I have the average points in basketball, I always try to subtract a certain number of figures from it. So the fixed figure that I always subtract from this particular betting strategy is 10 points. And let us see with the average point that we are going to get for this particular game. So we go to the start. All right. So and what I always do is just that I always pick the middle point, that is the average point in their last 5 games. So the last 5 games for the home team, so they played 84 here, they played 70 here, they played 70 again, they played 85, and they played Let me open this, because if you are doing your analysis, don't add, don't don't add the overtime point to it. So I think they played draw in this particular match before going to overtime, and the draw they played is 80-80. So this particular one is 80. Okay, so this one is 80. They played 85 here, they played 70 here, they played 70, they played 84. So you just have to delete, because I'm sure many of you are really aware of this particular betting strategy because I've posted it once, but I'm going to add up the updated factors that are considered in it. So now if you look at this, they played 84 in this place, they played 70. What you just need to do is just to remove the two smallest points that the home team had in their last 5 games, and the two biggest points that they had in their last 5 games. So the middle point is the average point that we are going to focus our subtraction on. So now we have 80 here, we have 85, we have 70, we have 70, and we have 84. So 85 and 84 happens to be the biggest point in this particular start. So we should also delete the smallest point, which happens to be the 70 that they played here, and also the 70 that they played here. And the middle point that they add, which is the average point, is the 80 points that they played here. Please, I want you guys to be paying a very good attention to details in this particular video, because in this video I know that some of you may be aware of this particular betting strategy because I've posted these particular steps before, but there are updates to it, and I want you guys to pay a very good close attention to the details in this particular video. So now 80 happens to be our average point for the home team, and now let us move on to the away team. So we have to check the last 5 games of the away team before this particular match. So the away team played, let us check what they played here, because they also played the draw. Okay, if you remove the over points figures from it, they played 77. Okay, so in the first game that they played draw here, it is 77. So they played 77 there, and they played 77. In this particular game they played 48, they played 60, they played 60, they played 65. So we have our last 5 games already. So now you just have to delete the two smallest points that they had in the last 5 games, which happens to be 48, and probably one of these one of these 60, and the two biggest points that they had is 77 and 65. So the middle point that they add happens to be 60. Now don't forget, the average point for the home team happens to be 80, and the average point for the away team now is 60. Now adding 60 and 80 together, it gives us 140, right? So I love to apply logics to my strategies, and that has always been helping me so much than applying sentiment to games. Now let us move on to the last the last games that they've played against each other. Now let us check that. Don't forget, currently now adding the average point of the home team in the last 5 games and the average point of the away team in the last 5 games has given us 40. 80 from the home team and 60 from the away team, making 40. Now let us move on. Let us draw our conclusion on the head-to-head, which happens to be their last previous games against each other. So we have the last 5 games here, and from this place we are going to be looking into the to each team average point in the last 5 games against each other. So let us focus on let us go for Penarol, which is the away team first. In this particular match they played 99, and in this particular game they played 86. Here they played 89, they played 73, and they played 84 in this particular match, so in the last 5 games. So now don't forget, the easy way to get your average point is to delete the two smallest points, and also to delete the two biggest points. So I delete 99 and 89. Okay, so now let us delete the two smallest, which happens to be 73 and 84, and the average point for Penarol is 86. 86 in the last 5 games against each other. It is 86. Now for Platense, in the last 5 games, let us check their average point too. So they played 83 here, they played 70, and they played 49. So deleting the two smallest first, let us delete the 49 and the 56. Now deleting the two biggest points, 83 and 87, and the average point that they add happens to be the 70. So now don't forget we have 86 as the average points against in their last head-to-head against each other. 86 for Penarol and 70 for Platense. Now adding 70 and 86 together, it gives 156. Now 156 is the average point in their last head-to-head game. In their last head-to-head game against each other, and don't forget in their last previous games against other teams, they are combining both teams' average points together. Their average point is 140. Now we are going to be adding 140 and 156 together, and let's see what we have. And also don't forget one thing about this particular betting strategy. After getting your average point, the average point does not mean that is the exact point that will be played as over, because it is just an insight about the range of points that these particular teams will play their games. Now what I always do is just that I always apply a strategy of subtracting a certain figures, and after testing this particular subtraction and I see that there is consistency in it, and that's what I use mostly. So now let us combine the average point from their last previous games against other teams and their average points against each other, which is 140 plus 156. So we are having a total figures of 296 here, and let us divide it by 2. We are having 148. So the total the fixed figure that I always apply in subtracting my basketball points is always 10. So we have 138. Now let us assume that you want to predict these particular games as over 138. Trust me, the bookmakers may not provide the market for you, and if they did not provide the markets, just try and go for other games. There are so many games, and if you cannot get a particular match to predict to use your strategy on in a day, just avoid that day. That is better than losing your games every day. So we have 138, and the 138 is what you should predict your games in this particular game. So looking at the end result, we are able to get over 147 in this particular game. Trust me, if the bookmakers provided the odd line for 138, this is the easy way that you win your game, because sometimes they do provide the markets though. They can provide the market up to like 139, 130, because one of the games that I predict that I applied the analysis on yesterday night, the game ended up, even they played more than I expected, but it happens that that is the only game I got from today's basketball games, and I just have to leave it because the odd is not that really big. So if you check the outcome of this particular game, it was predicted as over 139.5, and I think they eventually played probably around over 150. Yes, that is just the safe option of using that particular strategy. So now let's assume that you want to apply this particular same strategy on another league that I recommend to you guys, which happens to be the Turkish league. So I'll be picking a particular match under this particular league. They've played the game, and we are going to compare the results to what they've played. So we are going to get their average point and also subtract our figure in it, and surely we are going to look at it in case if the bookmakers will provide the market line for the game. So this is the best and simple way to acquire sure odds daily. If you happens to be someone that is not greedy, and at least sure odds is enough for you, and if you happens to be someone that does not always look for big odds, even you don't care if the games have the high probability of coming out so well. Now let us look into one of this particular game under the Turkish league, and let's see what we can have there. So this particular match actually ended up in this is 177. Adding this up together, this is 177. Now let us quickly check their start and to derive our average points from it. And don't forget what I told you about the average points. The average point will only give you the insight about the range and the frame of which the outcome of a particular basketball games can come out well. So from this frame is what we are going to subtract our figures from and predict our over point, because we are going for over. Let's assume you are going for under. That is when we are going to add up to it, add a figure to it. But you are going for over, you have to subtract from it. You have to play something that will be safe from the average points. Now let's just start from the home team. So we are going to follow the same steps of deriving the average point from each team in the last previous games they played against other teams. So the home team played 84 here, they played 81, they played 79, they played 103, and they played 93. So let us delete the two smallest figure, which happens to be the 79 and 81. So now let us delete the two biggest points, 93 and 103, and the average point here is 84. So let us take note of that, the 84, and let us go for the away team. Okay, going for the away team now, we are going to check the last 5 games of the away team also. So the away team played they played 78 here, they played 78, they played 100 here, they played 76 here, they played 83, and they played 90. Don't forget, we are only focusing in their last 5 games, their last previous games. So now let us delete the two smallest figures that they had in their last 5 previous games against other opponents. So they had 76 here and they had 78, which happens to be the two smallest figures. Now deleting the two biggest figures, we have 90 here, we have 100, and their average point happens to be 83. So this particular 83, which happens to be the average point for the away team, is what we are going to add up to the average point of the home team, which happens to be 84, and adding this together gives us 167. So now we have 167 as the average point of the last previous games against other teams. So 167. Now let us move on to their head-to-head to check the average point against each other, and this is what we are going to add up together and subtract our figures from it before predicting it as over point. Okay, let us first go for this. So we are going for the home team, this particular team here. So they played 90, they played 83 here, they played 82, they played 86 here, they played 88 here. So we are focusing on the last 5 games, don't forget. So let us delete the two smallest figures of the last previous games against their opponent for the Anadolu team. The two biggest points, they had 90 here, let us delete this, and they had 88. So these are the two biggest points, and deleting the two smallest points, we are deleting 82 and 83, and the average point that we have here happens to be 86. So 86 for Anadolu, and let us go for the other team. So this one played 98 here, they played 73 here, they played 63 here, they played 88, and they played 85 in the last previous games. So deleting the two biggest, deleting the 98 and deleting the 88. Now we are going to go for the two smallest also. We delete the 73 and also we delete the 63, and the average point is 85 that they've had here. So adding 85 with 86, so we are having 171. So don't forget the adding the average point in the last previous games against each other is now 171, and don't forget the average point that they had by adding their average points against other teams together happens to be 167. So 167 and 171 is what we are going to be adding together and subtract them from it. So now the total figure that we are currently having for this particular game is 338. So now dividing these particular figures by 2, we are getting 169, right? So in case you predicted this particular game as over 169, surely you would have won the game, but it is just the average point because this particular game actually eventually ended up as over 176, because this is a total figure of 177, but the average point that we have now is 169. And don't forget, whenever you get your average point, don't just predict your games like that. It is called average point, and it only give you insights of the range and the frame in which the match will end up in. So now let us subtract 10 from it, and if you want to predict that game that's just played as 177, you just have to go for over 159. So that's how this particular betting strategy works. So the other one that I'm talking about, which I also apply in the VIP group, I'm going to explain that one in the next video. All right, now, so before I go, I would like to give you a bonus strategy. This particular betting strategy is the first quarter betting strategy, but I may not be able to finish it in this particular video because this particular video is already too long for me. So I'm going to continue in the next video that will be dropped. The first quarter basketball betting strategy. This particular betting strategy too is really working out so well. In case you did not really get market on the first and on the basketball over point, because the bookmaker may not really provide the low odd line that will meet your analysis, because there are some games that can cost you looking at one of the games that I dropped in our Telegram channel, this particular match under the Turkish league. So the problem about basketball games is their consistency, but in this particular game they eventually played I think 150. Let me search for it. They eventually played 156 and it was predicted as a one, I think they 157. Yes, 157. Don't forget that I told you guys that there are two strategies that I use on basketball. Had it been that I use this particular one that I explained to you guys, I would have luckily won this particular game, because the average point using this particular strategy, you guys can actually do a back testing strategy on this particular game, Galatasaray and the Tofas. The average point that you get after subtracting your 10 points is over 155, and this particular game ended up as 156. But I actually use the other strategy that I'm about to teach you guys, because that one, at least that one, will even help you to easily get games every day. But the prediction for that one also supposed to be over 156, but because this is the smallest odd line that the bookmakers provided, and I was just like, okay, probably the game should end up as over 157, but unfortunately the game ended up as over 156. And checking the order, I applied the same strategy on other games and they came out so well. Other basketball games that you guys are seeing here, they are this is why I would like to tell you guys that when you are patient enough and you apply the right strategy, though it may be stressful, but just apply it and see and focus, discipline yourself, that if you don't get the game, you are not playing games that day. So that's how it works. So thanks for watching. See you guys in the next video. Don't forget to like our video, subscribe to this channel, and also if you want to join our VIP group, you are going to get the link to that group in the video description and also in the comment section, and our other Telegram platform. You can also join us through the links. And also, in case if you want to join our tutorial masterclass group, you can contact me on our social media handles in the video description. So thanks for watching. See you guys in the next video. Bye.